Award-winning multimedia journalist Marisa Marcellino, who has worked at NBC Sports and also Fresh Bread News. I'm your host, Kevin,
And I'm your co-host, Brian.
and you're now tuned in to Coda Conversations. Welcome to the show.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the warm welcome.
Yeah, no, it's awesome that you could join us tonight.
And I feel pretty fortunate to be. I assume this is the last of the year.
Yeah,
Are you doing one tomorrow?
Yeah, no.
Oh no, you're right. Yeah, last of the year. Yep.
Save the best for last.
Exactly.
Right? We got to give some good
we
insight.
Save the best for last. Yeah.
Going into 2026.
Ending the year on a bang.
How are you feeling about the new year coming up? You got a lot of stuff planned, or you just kind of like winging it?
I love a new year. Like, I love a fresh start more than the normal person, which I think we'll get to, but that shows in my like resume and jobs. I love new opportunities. I love a clean slate. I love kind of like the unknown. So I'm excited about 2026. I'm currently working for NBC on the upcoming Olympics. So for us,
nice.
It's like finally showtime. Like, we're a little over a month out, and the Olympics are at the end of February. So I'm excited to finally, bring that project to the finish line. And there's no better time, I feel like, to be in the US watching sports or just being than the Olympics. I feel like it brings everybody together. So I'm super pumped about that.
Are you going to be live for that?
So I will be on the at-home team in Stamford, Connecticut. So I'm on the digital team. So I'll be there reporting on things and writing from back at like the headquarters. I wish I'd be in Milan, but I've been told hopefully there will be a large supply of Italian food to make up for it. But no, it'll be exciting. I'll be covering ice hockey during the games. So it'll be pretty exciting. I mean, the NHL guys are back for the first time since 2014. The women's team and the women's competition across the board is like absolutely insane. So it should be really, really fun. I feel like even if you're not typically a fan of any of these sports, this is the time where you kind of get into it. So it should be fun.
So this is a absolutely massive project. Is there anything you're doing to really prepare yourself so that, you're really ready to go?
Yeah, I started this project with the team back in May. So, when you start back then, it feels so far away. So it's been since May, I've been covering a few different sports. I've been covering cross-country skiing, biathlon, and hockey, and then sled hockey for the Paralympics.
Oh, wow.
During games time, I will just cover hockey. But one of the big points of preparation, at least for me, has been becoming an expert in those sports so that when it does come down to games time and competition, I don't have to think like, wait, what was the rule here? Or how does it work to qualify? Because I don't know about you guys, but like, I don't watch biathlon year round typically. However, right now I am.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of like prep work, just like anything, any job, like doing the work to make sure like when it comes time, you know exactly what you're doing, exactly what you're talking about. And I feel like also in journalism, like you never want anyone to think you don't know what you're talking about or question the way that you wrote something, or does she really know what this says? So I've worked really hard at that, like to really just like, try and mold myself into the world of those different sports, even when no one's watching, to just kind of make sure I know everything that's going on, all the key players and all that. So it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
So we're talking extensive prep work.
Yeah.
For this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you check out on like our website, we have all these different like sport 101 articles and stuff. So that gives you the full rundown, like for anyone to say, like, okay, cross country skiing. What are the events? How do they work? Who are the major people? What are the rules? Like, what have the last like 10 Olympics been like? Like, who are the competitors? So, since this is a contract position that I came on for, it's not like I do this year round
Yeah,
working on
right.
those sports. So, yeah, a lot of studying, a lot of reading up, a lot of interviewing athletes, a lot of watching, and yeah, just like being a student of the game, kind of. So, it's been fun. I like that. I like it's a nice challenge. So
Nice.
yeah, it's been exciting.
So I know that there's a significant research portion, like you mentioned, but there's also that improv part, which I mean is inherent in the nature of like broadcasting and reporting. So how do you prepare yourself for that element of the job?
Yeah, it's interesting. So this role that I'm in is pretty much mostly writing. So I'm
Oh,
writing
really?
for the website. Yeah, and it's kind of cool because you do have the ability to frame things in a way that you might not be able to in broadcast. Like I've worked in, breaking news TV. You got a minute and 30 seconds. Like there's no fluff. It's like brass tacks. Like this is what happened. So it's kind
Yeah.
of nice to be able to frame things for people. Like this thing happened and this is the context and this is the history and this is what it means. And so um it's been kind of nice to put on like both hats. I mean, I think that's the thing with this Olympics role is like a lot of the lead up is more of the features and the storytelling and the research of it. And then the game time is the breaking news, right? It's like who won, who moved
Yeah.
on and stuff like that. So it's been it's been a great balance in that way. Like I haven't always had that or I've rarely had that in other roles that I've had. So that's been kind of cool.
So how have you prepared for that specifically? Because you're saying like it's a little different than your normal role.
Yeah, I mean, for games time, I'm kind of used to that. Like I have worked mostly in breaking news, so for
Yeah.
me, I'm used to like the quick turn stuff. I think for me, the adjustment has been working on longer features or bigger projects over a couple of weeks and like putting together a big body of work. Um, because I love like I l I like to see the finished product, like, I don't have a lot of patience. So I'm like for me, it's been that of, like, the reward might be a little delayed, like, all of this research
Yeah.
and these interviews and stuff, like, it'll come kind of all together later. So, yeah, it's just been a little bit of, like, a juggle in that way, but it's been good for me because it, like, exercises a different skill, and it works different parts of your brain, which is cool.
So out of the two, writing and broadcasting, which one do you prefer? I know, like you mentioned, they kind of work different parts of the brain, and one maybe the gratification is a little more delayed with writing, since you're not necessarily getting instant feedback.
Hard hitting question, Kevin. Um,
Yeah.
you know, okay. The my most PC answer is to say I'd love to be in a role where I was doing both. Right? Like either you're putting out a short hosted video if that's what that piece of news calls for at that moment. And if it's a longer, more in depth piece that doesn't have to be out right now, a written thing is much better for that, right? Because, like in broadcast TV, even on like our phones, like people just don't have a long kind of attention span to watch like a 10-minute piece.
Oh, it's
But you might,
terrible.
right, right. But you might read a 10-minute piece while you're like waiting for a doctor's appointment or something, like, or like you
Right.
wake up. And so for me, like, I love being able to use like different mediums. I think that that is where journalism and media is now. It's like you guys have this awesome podcast format and this like, and you're doing it live, which is so cool. And this works so well for this type of like interview style. And I think, you know, sometimes a quick little video on social media is the best way to get something out. And, you know, I've written some retirement features recently for some different Winter Olympic athletes. And like, I'm so glad I have the chance to write it because I can do them justice. Like, I don't get 30 minutes in a TV broadcast to talk about that, right? So I think
Right.
it all depends. I think, you know, it's cool to be able to exercise both skills, but I think like the ultimate goal is being able to choose as you please.
That's it. So can you kind of like walk us back? How did you actually, just in general, how did
Yeah.
you get into this stuff, journalism? You know,
Wow.
it's a very interesting, and to me, it's a really unique career path because most little kids aren't sitting there saying, "Hey, I want to be a journalist when I grow up," you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Whew, Brian, how much time do we have? Um, I I have had an extremely non-linear career path, which I actually love. Like I don't see that as a bad thing. I think like every step along the way has led me to where I am and I'm sure I'll have many more twists and turns as I go. Um as we were chatting about before we started rolling, like I get bored very easily. I love a challenge. So as soon as I'm feeling like okay, I'm too comfortable. I get this. I need to move on. Whereas
Oh,
like
wow.
some people I think are like, "Oh, I'm comfortable. Like I could ride this for 10 years." Like that sounds like absolute HE double hockey sticks to me of like staying in something where I feel like I know it. Like I want yeah, I want to be challenged. I want it to be hard. So okay, the like way back is that I grew up in DC as a aspiring professional basketball player.
Oh, wow.
As a enormous Michael Jordan fan as a kid of the 90s.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you probably can't tell this over the computer, but I am only 5 feet tall. So unfortunately, the height never came. But I say all this to say I played a ton of sports. I loved kind of that pressure and competition. And I played lacrosse in college and I ended up coaching college lacrosse for a little while and playing abroad. And I thought I might do that for a while. But then I was like, you know what? I think I've scratched this itch. And
Let me
I,
move on to something else now.
yeah, yeah. And I think like I always wanted to be involved in sports. I always like imagined myself being at the center of, you know, whether it was the Super Bowl, the Olympics, or whatever it was. Like, I just love being around the biggest things that are going on. Like, I'm the type of kid that like would hear a fire engine and like I go running. Like, I want to see what's happening. So I kind of just thought, like, okay, what would get me to be able to, if I can't be a professional athlete, what's the closest thing to that? Well, it's covering it, it's being a part of it,
Yeah,
and there's
100%.
never gonna be a dull
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
So I ended up going to journalism school, which was like the best decision I ever made because it I learned all of the skills I did not know, like all the technical skills, but also like I had never reported before. Like I didn't
Right.
know what it took to do like write a story to even just like what a story is. Um so after journalism school, you know, I went through a bunch of different things, but I mean, I went from an intern on like the CNN breaking news desk to Sports Illustrated on their first breaking news video team as an editor. Then, you know, if it sounds to anyone like, oh, this girl can't like focus on something, it's less that like journalism is super volatile. So like
Yeah.
most of the work that I've had has been contract work, or like you're a freelancer or whatever it is. And a lot of times the only way to move up or gain more skills is to go somewhere else. Um, and so that's and so for me, like, okay, I got this skill, like what's next? It's like
Let me move on now
you
once I
gotta
got the
figure out.
skill. Yeah, I get
Yeah.
that. I get that.
So I the first time I was able to do on camera work, which is what I really wanted to do, just because it really felt like it felt the closest to being in a game, like that pressure of like, okay, spotlight's on you, are you gonna deliver or not, right? Like, and I love that. So was I went to FanDuel right when FanDuel kind of was becoming big in New York, and I hosted videos for that, kind of like setting your fantasy lineups and stuff like that. And within 6 months, we were shut down because it was,
Oh,
um,
no.
deemed gambling by then Governor Cuomo. And so, like, we went home one night, next day didn't have a job. Um,
Wow.
and after that was the first time I ended up at NBC. I got a job after that working on the Rio Olympics with NBC in a similar role to what I'm in now. And, you know, coming on for games time and just a little bit before. And once you get that like Olympic bug, you're like, wait, this is one of the coolest things ever.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and, um, but again, contract work. It was only like, I can't remember, 3 or 6 month gig. It was up. I got a job right after that at Entertainment Weekly, hosting and producing breaking news videos. I told myself that if I could do that, I could do anything because I know
Yeah.
absolutely nothing about entertainment news and frankly, like, could care less about it. So I was
Sure.
like, if I can sell this, like, and I can sound like I know what I'm talking about, then like sky's the limit. I ended up getting an opportunity to go back to NBC after that. I was there for a couple of years, started a digital series there with another coworker where they would send us around to all of like the tentpole events for NBC. So like NASCAR, Premier League, football, whatever, and filmed kind of like behind the scenes. Like this is what the experience is like take you, you know, into uh at the Kentucky Derby, up into like the Millionaire Suites to the track. It was like dream job, like so 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 cool. But like all good things, they must come to an end. It was one of those,
So it's another contract.
well, not really. Like it was just they were going through some change at that time, and
Okay.
the role was changing, and so I was like, okay, what's going to be next for me? Um, I was really, really, really enjoying the on camera stuff. And so I thought, okay, everyone has always said that you need to go and be like a local reporter if you want to like actually pursue this on camera thing. So
Right.
I worked really, really hard to get a reporter role at News 12 in New York. Kevin, in Long Island, you're Long Island, right?
Oh, that's Brian. I'm in Texas.
I'm in Long
Ah,
Island.
you're Long Island. You're Long Island. Do you have News 12?
Um,
You
I
probably
don't
do.
know. I
You
just,
probably do.
I do the streaming stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what's going on with regular TV or anything like that.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. So whatever. So I got a reporter job for News 12 Bronx and Brooklyn. I was there for like 5 years. Um, it was the absolute hardest thing I've ever done. I was a one-man band, so shooting, editing, and in front of the camera, multiple deadlines a day, at homicides, fires, you name it.
Wow.
My last couple of years, I got to throw some sports in there. But after 5 or 6 years and then doing like 2 years of the pandemic, like never having a day, like not out. And it just like, it was insane, but amazing, amazing, amazing experience. I was like, you know what? Like this day to day, like fires, homicides, like it was weighing on me. And
Yeah.
the days where I did stories that were about sports or like things that made you feel, I was like, that is like what
That's it.
I like. It speaks to
That's
me.
it.
I've always known that. Like, I should
Right.
just do that. Um, and I also was just feeling like I needed a little bit of a New York City break. Like, everyone gets there once in a while. I've been reporting on the streets for like 5 years. So I got in touch with the owner of this new American football team in Paris. It was a friend of a friend. And I started pitching myself to him and saying, like, listen, I could come and do media for you, whatever it is. And they gave me a shot. And so I went
Wow.
over there first season. And it was really, really cool. And it was cool to be in a place trying to report on a sport and get people interested in a sport that they have no idea about. And it's very like humbling because you're like, okay, like, like it would, I don't even know the equivalent of what it would be here, maybe cricket or something like that. But like, it was cool, but it was also really fun to be around guys who knew that this may be their last shot at playing. Like maybe they'll get seen and picked up by a CFL team or an NFL practice squad, or maybe this is just their last little bit of playing. And like, it was just really cool to see like that love of the game
Yeah.
that you don't always see on a professional level. And, get to travel all over Europe and see these teams play. And so that was great. And then I finished up that. I came back. I decided to take a little time to figure out like what it was I wanted to do instead of like what I always do, which is just sort of like jumping.
Just jump into
And
whatever and see how it goes.
yeah. So I did some different like consulting and advising and freelancing. One of the places I consulted for was Fresh Bread, which you mentioned earlier, which is a real estate new digital news site. So I know nothing about real estate, but it was kind of like trying to advise them on different ways to create content and like how to reach people and like
Yeah.
um fill that gap that they thought there was in the industry. And then I saw a posting about this Olympics job and I was like, wow, I loved working there. I love working on the Olympics. Like, let's do it. And here I am. Here I am. So yeah, that was a very, very, very long-winded route, but basically saying like each stop kind of led to the next stop, right? Because like I had people say at different times, like, "Oh, you'll never cover hard news," and then it was like you're doing that, and then it was like, "Well, you'll never get back to sports," and it's like, "Watch me." So like,
Yeah, right.
I love to like keep my hands in a lot because I think it keeps you versatile.
Well, and people love to doubt. People
Ah,
love to doubt. I
God,
don't know
don't
why,
they? I
but
don't either.
because I came up doing music and it was always like, oh, you can't do this. Then I go do it. Oh, yeah, no, you
Mhm.
can't do that. Well, I will go and do that too. So, like you're saying, set a goal and hit it, set another goal, hit that, and just keep moving.
And you know what I think it is? I think it's that a lot of people are scared. I think it's that there are risks when you take chances, and like a lot of people aren't willing to take on those risks. They'd rather kind of just like ride this. And so they're kind of mad at you that you're like okay to take the risk. Even though like it's hard. It was really hard to move to a whole new country and not know
Yeah.
anyone and not speak the language and like a million other things. But like was it a really cool thing that I did? Like did I miss out on anything back at the other job? No. But I think that's where it comes from. Like I don't think we innately like want bad for someone else. We just like we're a little jealous. I think we're a little jealous that they want to take chances and we know it's not easy. So, yeah.
So I know, like, the industry that you're in is, there's probably, like Brian mentioned, probably like a lot of doubters. So how did you not let that affect you and still shoot your shot? And how did you,
Yeah.
ultimately stick with it to get the job?
No, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not doing on camera stuff right now, but especially when I was doing that, and hopefully I'll do more in the future, like people will always tell you, like, you know, oh, that's your voice, that's what your hair looks like, that's what you're wearing. Like I would have never been able to wear this. That's why I was like, I'm wearing this. Um, like everyone is gonna say something about you. And I think at the end of the day, like you have to have really tough skin. It doesn't mean that you're not gonna have really hard days and doubt yourself sometimes, but I think also you have to like believe in your skills and
Yeah.
also what you want. And like I've worked really, really hard. So like which everyone has, right? Like no one gets to any of these
Well,
places like being like this was easy, but like
a lot of those doubters though, that's their
right.
situation. They're
Like
fine with the 9 to 5. Let me
mhm.
clock out. Let me go do X, Y, and Z. Let me watch this over the
Yeah,
weekend. And they're never really, like you said, they're never really like taking that shot,
right.
going for that long-term goal, or that like my sister, when she was younger, she moved out at 18 to Manhattan. We grew up in Connecticut. And then she moved out to LA there for a couple of years. Okay, got tired of that. Moved down to Mexico. Um, so I've seen the extreme with my sister,
Yeah.
and then I've
Yeah.
seen the other side of it with some people I grew up with who they never left their hometown. They never
Yeah.
will. And I think there's a lot of fear there, like you're saying.
Yeah, and I think it's one thing to want it, and then the other part is putting in the work. So, like, at least 3 out of my 5 years, like, I paid out of pocket for, like, a talent, like like, mix of, like, voice, storytelling, appearance coach that I met with, like, a few days a week, and, like, in case anyone doesn't know, like, local news people make absolutely no money, so, like, it was like a hardship to take on, but it was, like, something I really wanted, and it was also having to say, "You don't know everything. You you can improve. You want to improve. How do you do it?" And then I think it was like, up through last year, I took Spanish lessons for, like, 3 years, multiple times a week with a professor in Colombia,
Oh wow.
because I knew that it would make me a better reporter. I was reporting on the streets of the Bronx. I was encountering people where I couldn't communicate with them about what had happened to them, and I knew that it would not only make me a better reporter, but maybe in the future, it would also make me more marketable. But also,
Right.
how cool to have like another skill. Like like instead of just saying like, yeah, like I had, not to say this about you guys, but I started another podcast or I started another like whatever a blog. Like I picked up this language or whatever it is. So I'm always kind of working on myself in that way. Like I audited. I went to Columbia undergrad, and then I went back to Columbia Journalism School, and I audited a class in the graduate school this past semester in like a nonprofit media marketing. Like just because like I feel like the mantra should be like always be learning. Like it's like if
Yeah.
I'm not learning, like there's a problem. And even if just the learning is from other people in the room or people that I
Yeah.
met, or even if it's not like directly impacting my work. Um, but no, like I think it's like yeah, it's not really taking chances, but like you said, it's working, it's like doing the work. So it's nice when the work actually pays off, but then you
Sure.
start to get worried. Like, what more do I need to do to get to the next place? Like I'm already kind
Next
of there.
level.
Yeah.
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 So if you guys ever need me to stop talking, you should just tell me.
So yeah, it really seems like the industry. the multimedia industry, there's a lot of parallels with the tech industry. Like you mentioned, you always have to learn new skills. It's not necessarily the most stable. Like you might have a contract here, last a year, now you're somewhere else. So like, how do you remain like sane? Because this puts a lot of mental pressure on you from bouncing from job to job to job. And like, this one skill set that you develop, that's not necessarily going to carry you for the next 10 years. So you're always having to learn. Like, how do you keep your wits about you and not get
Yeah.
depressed?
No, it's a great question. I mean, I think I would lose my wits if I had to stay in the same role. Um, so for me, like I actually think I finally picked the perfect industry because like I like change, I like moving, I like developing, and but don't get me wrong, like we all have moments where it's very hard to find the next thing, and will you ever find the next thing? And I don't know. I the way that I guess always kind of am able to maintain like a sensibility about it is part of the learning. Like it's kind of like being an athlete. If I'm training and I'm running and I'm lifting and I'm shooting and I'm doing all this, well like when it's game time, I'm going to be fine. Like
Yeah.
I've done all the hard work. So for me like that's what I do. Like, and even if like what my practice is just knowing everything that's going on in the news, well then that's great because when it's time for a job interview or if I'm just catching up with people in the industry, like they know you know what you're talking about, but also you know all the moves in the industry, right? Like just like
Yeah.
tech. Like who's acquiring who and does that mean there's going to be a new opportunity here and oh my gosh, I used to work with so and so there and they might know about that. Like so I try to like read a lot and stay on top of a lot. I love LinkedIn. That's how we connected. Um
Love
and
LinkedIn. Yeah.
love LinkedIn. My favorite
Great.
form of social media.
It's great.
And yeah, I feel like if I can honestly tell myself that I'm doing the work, then I'm okay. Like I don't sit well. So that actually like bodes well for all of this cuz like I like to be doing something. But yeah, no, it's a lot. I guess it is a lot like tech in that way. It's like you have to be nimble. Um and I'm lucky that I think I came up in the industry in this period of you know, we had to learn everything. So it
Yeah.
wasn't like I went to a broadcast school or digital or print. Like we left having to know how to write an article, shoot an article, report one on TV, like do one for social. So
Everything.
I feel really lucky in that way that, I can market my skills a lot easier, I think. I
Let me
saw a
ask
question pop up.
you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So Eric asks, what impact do you see with AI and multimedia journalism? What opportunities and challenges do you see from AI moving forward?
It's interesting. I think a lot of people, and you guys probably you probably felt this way, like in tech, like fear that AI is going to take all our jobs and this type of thing. Like I don't fear that because I think that you're always going to need like a personality or a face or something like that to kind of put it all together. It's tricky, I think, with AI right now, like, especially talking to my friends that work in the industry at different places, like, everyone's using it differently. Most people that I've spoken to only use it for like research and practice purposes. Um, I have not personally used it to like actually ever write something or put out a video or whatever, but like I'm sure that there are people doing that, but like the way I just use it is mostly research. And like I will try to figure out the sources it's pointing me to and be like, okay, that's a good place for me to look, right? But like I was talking to someone about this the other day, like it is scary how often it's wrong. Like even, we were talking about the Olympics. Like, I work with some more obscure sports and athletes, and you'll Google something, right? Like, did so and so ever win a gold medal? And like, it'll say yes. And then, like, you go to the stats, like the official ones from like Team USA or from the Olympics, and like, they've never been to an Olympics. And so
Oh wow.
that's where I feel like if you're going to use AI, you have to be a reporter using AI. Like, you have to like assume that it's not right and then kind of do the back work to it. But I do think it does point you to some really good resources, but it'll be interesting to see for sure.
Me and Kev, we talk about AI on here a lot. We get a lot of questions about AI. And, for me, much like you, I'm just using it for, research. Oh, let me look up, instead of Googling this thing, I'll go ahead, throw it into, an AI, whether it be Gemini or Chat GPT. But yeah, I'm not like every day using it to make video content or to help me with social media marketing. I mean, I'm sure people are doing it with that, but I'm not at that level where I want to do that even.
Yeah, and it's probably we're probably not there yet. Who knows? Maybe someone will write in and be like, "We are there. Use this," which like would be great. But
Yeah.
yeah, I also just think like, I don't know, when it comes to like what I do and like what most people do, like facts matter and like the truth matters, and like our most important thing is like not having stuff out like fast, it's having it stuff out like outright and like complete. And so for me, I'm gonna be double checking it all anyways. Like, I wonder if we'll ever be at a point with AI where it's right the first time, you know?
Right.
So for me, it's like still pretty risky, but I think it's a very good research tool for sure.
Yeah, I know like in the tech industry, AI is pretty much used to like scaffold, like you're not building this complete product and you still have to verify the output. And like you mentioned, it gets stuff wrong. So I think that's one important skill that, if you're trying to stay alive in this era of AI, you need to seek the facts. You need to verify whether stuff is working. And there's also like the human element. And I don't think, I mean, it's getting better at it, but I don't think it can ever replace humans because of that human element. People want
Yeah.
connections with other people.
Oh, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, the thing I could see it being used for, and probably already is like kind of the more annoying stuff about like broadcast, like graphics and like, I don't know, like act the editing portion. Like, I know there are, things now where you could pop in this whole video and say, find me the best 10 sound bites and like
Yeah.
stuff maybe like
We
that, but
use something.
still,
Yeah, we use
yeah,
something like that. Opus
yeah.
clips.
Okay, well there you go. Is it like, do you agree with it for the most part?
It gives you like 10 to 15 different clips. So, usually you'll find at least two or three good ones, but, a lot of times it's a lot of bad stuff, but you kind of digging through for the couple of gems.
Yeah, yeah. All right. It still helps you out.
Yeah, I think that's what we're seeing with AI. Like, it's incredible with some stuff, but then it'll really screw up. So you're like, should I be trusting this AI with this project I'm working on? I don't really know. I'm kind of like lukewarm on that myself.
Yeah, I mean, even I tried to use it for the stupidest thing this summer. I was like moving into a new apartment, which was like obviously very small in New York, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna like try to like have some like foresight, and I like put in the dimensions, and I talked about where the windows were and this and that, and I asked it to like give me a floor plan so I could map out like the size of the beds, the dresser, whatever. It was completely wrong. And I was like, "Wait, I thought something like that it would have been really good at." Now maybe it's the user, I don't know,
Right.
but, I'd like that stuff to be better. Like, I'd like that like, the stuff that I don't have any idea how to do.
I think maybe like a cool idea for AI is maybe Macy's or something. You see this article of clothing, and you can like have the AI put you in the clothing,
I
stuff
like
like
that.
that. But
That is, you should
Yeah.
pitch that.
That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I need to hurry up and pad that.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Because you're right. They do that where you can say, like, put this sofa in the room and you can, like, see what it looks like. So why not, like, the
Yeah,
dress?
that's right.
Exactly.
I want a cut of that. All right. I was here for that idea.
Now, let me ask you this, and I think this is something our listeners would be really interested to hear the answer to. How did you actually break into Columbia, and how did you
Mhm.
break into NBC? Because these are organizations that are like really, tip top, especially
Yeah.
Columbia. So, what was your process? What was your prep work
Mhm.
to beat the other person? Because you are in a massive competition, especially
Mhm.
with colleges.
Yeah. Uh, you know, for me, it's always been about putting in the work. Like I'm a grinder. So like you know, I was recruited as a student athlete to Columbia undergrad. I played lacrosse there. Obviously, I still had to get in academically. Like they don't give athletic scholarships. But
Yeah.
it was just a lot of really really hard work and making it known that like I was a candidate that would be a fit and like would make the school a better place, um, athletically, academically, community wise. And like going to Columbia opened so many doors for me. Like athletically, it was incredible. I had the most amazing experience, but then also just being challenged on a whole different intellectual level than I ever had. Really kind of just like and the level of competition, right? Because it's
Yeah.
always there. And it just makes you either perform better or not. Like there's kind of no other option, right? And so like I tend to thrive in that, which is why it was a great fit for me. And then so when I ended up applying to journalism school like 5 years later, oh my I prepped for my like admission for like a year. I mean,
Wow.
I took like, you know, uh like test classes. I wrote sample essays. I had different people read them. I reworked them. Like you had to have, personal essays about like things that mean to you. You had to write different articles about things that were going on. And I had a full time job at the time. So it was just like, what is going to make me stand out? What's going to make me different? And how do I make myself seem like the right candidate when I've never done any journalism before? Like
Right.
a lot of the students there now and when I was there, some of them have like been on broadcast TV, some of them write for the New York Times, like, but like what sets you apart? And for me, it was always just like showcasing how hard of a worker you are, showcasing that you're willing to do anything, like egos aside, that like you're here to work and like you really want it. You're passionate about it. I think like if someone has passion, like you feel that and you know that they're going to get the most out of this and like bring the most out of the people around them. And like I tried to do that. So I would say, who knows? You'll have to speak to the people there, but it worked twice. Thank goodness. And don't get me wrong, like it wasn't easy getting into NBC or these other places, but
Right.
my first job out of the journalism school was an internship. I was like a I can't remember how old I was. I was a like 26 or 27-year-old intern at CNN with like two college sophomores, like my first job out. So like I like making, whatever an hour. Like, so I think it's also like sucking up any egos. Like some days it was like, I was like, should I be like embarrassed about this? And then I was like, oh no. I actually have a leg up on them. They're going
Yeah.
back to school.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere. Like, I'm here. Like, I can make this a thing. Like, so I
Yeah.
think it's just like trying to see the best in everything and then just like, you know, proving that you deserve to be there. I think, you know, with any company, especially if you've been there once and you do good work, why wouldn't they have you back?
Of course.
You know, especially in a world like
Yeah.
journalism where it's not like you're supposed to be in this role for however many years. Like, and if it's something where people bop around, um, if they know you can do the work, I think, and you prove that, I think, you know, they like to have you back. But I mean, don't get me wrong, like you're still vetted like every other person. Like, um, so yeah, but I think it's putting in the work and, you know, once you put in work and you get some things like the doors continue to open, but like you're opening them yourself. You know, it's
Yeah. I think that's a piece that a lot of people miss.
mhm.
You know, like
Yeah.
when I think back to when I was in LA, you know, there'd be people, you know, like we're saying, people that would doubt you. People say, "Oh, you know, you're never going to do this or you can't do that." And then you go out there and do it. But what I noticed, what got me gigs as a session musician was, you know, work ethic. Like you're saying, old fashioned elbow grease, just working harder than your competition. And then you get the gig. That was my experience.
100%. Did you guys ever see Rudy? The
Yeah.
Notre Dame Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Great
I
movie.
grew up on Rudy, right? It's like, like, I've channeled him my whole life. It's like, you might not be the best, you might not be the biggest, but, like, you're gonna outwork everybody there. And, like, you know, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Like, it's like I could give you every different line here, but it's all true. And I think you'll meet a lot of really really talented people and you know at times you'll be jealous that these doors opened for them, but I think at some point if they don't start working hard or kind of raise their game, the others catch up. It's because
Yeah.
like this, like tech, whatever, there's always a learning curve, there's always new things to learn, and I think people like that. People like having people like that on their team that like are like, "Hey, have you ever done a podcast? Can you do a podcast?" And you're like, "Yeah, I'll do a podcast today." Instead of like the, "Nope, I only write." It's like, "Okay,
Right.
well."
No, that's a great point because you know a lot of people are looking for the shortcut. They're looking for like the 5 sexy tips where you don't have to do
Mhm.
anything and $1 million comes into your pocket. But it's
Yeah.
never like that. To
If
me,
they find those out, you let me know.
Yeah.
to me, one of the biggest secrets is doing the dirty work, the garbage
Mhm.
collection or whatever, like the stuff that other people don't want to do. When you're the one that always shows up doing everything from top to bottom, then sooner or later people are going to start relying on you. And once they do that, that's when the opportunities really come because you're now the go-to person.
Yeah, it's like these actors, right, that we see, and all of a sudden they get this big role in like a TV show or a movie, and we're like, God, where did they come from? And it's like, you want to know
Yeah.
where they came from? The last 15 years of like background actor. Oh yeah, and then also being like stage manager, and then also like it's like you're exactly right. Like these things don't just come out of thin air.
No way.
Um, I just like I really like to think and I hope it holds true that like hard work pays off and like that it will and that like we all end up where we want to be. I think that like
Yeah.
I'd rather go about it that way than just like kind of throwing my hands up and being like, well, whatever happens.
Yeah. When I think back to my time in LA or Hollywood, you know, there was an actor I once met. He was, I guess, you consider him a B-list actor. I won't mention his name, but you know, I had met him, and I told him, you know, I'm a drummer, and I'm trying to do my own thing out here. And you know, what's your? Because he was accomplished at that point. He had made a big movie, and so I said, you know, what was it that set you apart? What was it that you did that got you that role, that ultimately you ended up successful. And he's like, man, just hard work. It took me 20 years to get that role. So like you're saying, you see some, pop up out of nowhere in Hollywood. It's like, where did this guy or girl come from? Fact is, it's kind of like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan shooting the ball in the rain. Who wants to do that? No one wants to go
Cut
out
from
there
the
and
high school team.
yeah. So it's
Yeah.
it's all
No,
interesting.
it is. And I think, who knows? Like, I feel like back to our AI convo, it's like, I think a lot of people think maybe AI is the shortcut, but I think really AI is just something that could make you better if you learn how to use it to like your advantage, right? It's like,
Right.
but it's not gonna like all of a sudden do your job so that you can lay on the beach all day. Like that, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
at
don't
that
know.
point, it just replaces you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, speaking of hard work and the fruits that result from that, you've won 2 Emmys. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah. The first one was with NBC on the Rio Olympics. I was on the digital team, and our I believe it was for the digital multimedia coverage. Um, I was like in shock. I was like, wait, this is the thing. This is the thing that happens that we were part of. And then you realize, like, wait, I was just working on the world's biggest event. Like, I don't wanna say of course, but, like,
Yeah.
wow, like, yeah,
Wild.
this was a lot of work and, like, um so, yeah, that was super cool, and then the second one was for this series I used to work on at News 12 when I was a local reporter. It's called Road Trip Close to Home, and we would do just as it says, take little road trips, uh in the New York area, and then like film a like kind of lifestyle piece on it, and then they would put it together as a show. So the episode that my piece was in won. That was really exciting because it was a really small team of us, and I really felt like I had an impact, and I was shocked when we won. And I was actually in person, which was cool.
Wow.
So yeah, but like at the end of the day, all very, very, very cool stuff. But it just makes you like it gives you that confidence to say, okay, I know what I'm doing enough to be in this field. And it makes you just want to keep doing more and getting better and better and better because it's like
Yeah.
it's nice to have things pay off.
100%. Yeah.
So it's cool. It's cool. Yeah.
So you've accomplished quite a bit already. What's left for you? Like, what's your next
Oh, what's
milestone?
left? Everything. Um, you know, there's
It's a
so
good question.
much. Yeah, it's a
It's a good
great question.
question.
There's just so much that I would like to do. There's so much that I would like to do. Um, for me, it's really like not about any like awards. It's more like I would love to be in person covering the Olympics again. I covered in person in 2018 in South Korea. It was amazing.
Wow.
I would love to cover the World Cup. I would love to cover some of the world's biggest golf events. Like I would really like to, be back into kind of like traveling, covering sports. Um, and like we talked about before, like having the flexibility to say, like, you know what? I have a really cool chance to interview this person. Let's do a quick video. Or the format for this is best in print or whatever it is. But like finding a medium or a platform with like the flexibility of it. But I think for me, it's like just like new experiences and getting to be part of these like global events that bring people together. Like I think the Olympics is going to be awesome in Milan, in LA. It's going to be so cool being back at home and the World Cup coming up. Like we have a really huge run in sports coming to North America, and I think it'll be really fun to be a part of, and I hope that I can be a large part of it. So that's what I hope.
Awesome.
So yeah, before we get out of here, I know you've probably met quite a few interesting people, traveled to quite a few interesting locales. So can you give us a story of the most interesting person you met and the most interesting locale you traveled to?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, okay. So most interesting location would have to be Pyeongchang, South Korea for the Olympics.
Wow.
So cool. I was um with another colleague covering figure skating. So we were at the figure skating venue pretty much the whole time, but what was so cool is like after we worked a million hours, I could just go to any event. So I would like pop into hockey. I would go and watch bobsled. It was like, to me, that was just like the coolest thing ever. It was like Disneyland on Disneyland on Disneyland. Like it was like, yeah. And then also just being in South Korea, at the very end, I had like one day before I went home and I went to Seoul and just went to the
Nice.
DMZ where you could see across to North Korea. And like, I was just like, wow, like the places that this job can take you, like how cool.
What an
Um,
opportunity. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, really, really cool. Interview wise, I have to say, like, interviewing the Olympians is really rewarding because, especially with like the winter, they are typically not big stars that you know about. And they are so humble. They're so excited to tell their story. They're so excited for the coverage. And they'll give you so much time and like they'll be so open and like it's like it's hard for me to pick one, but I like even like there's a cross country skier, Jessie Diggins, who you're gonna hear a lot about when the Olympics comes up. She's awesome. She's retiring after this Olympics. Um, she's huge in that sport, but outside of it, a lot of people don't know who she is, but she's an incredible story to tell. And she's been an ambassador for mental health and eating disorder awareness, all these different things. And like
Wow.
they have all these I like different platforms. And there's just like so much to them because like for the most part, a lot of these athletes like the sport can't be the only thing about them. Like that's like it's not funding probably their life. It
Yeah.
can't be everything. And so yeah, it's not a good answer, but it's like collectively, I think the Olympians and the Paralympians. I had the chance to sit down with a sled hockey Paralympian earlier this year, um, Jack Wallace, and just how open he was about his story and his accident and like how he's persevered and like just has the most incredible attitude and outlook on life. And you leave those interviews and you're like, okay, like I can do more. I should be doing more. Like we're all a lot more capable than we think we are. And I think like those stories are just like so inspiring. Um, so I'm excited for everyone to like see and meet these people, virtually in the next couple weeks and months. But no, for me, it's that. Like I think aside from talking to like big stars, I think it's these ones who are like do it for like the country on their chest and like not for the paycheck and like
Yeah.
just because they love it. They love
Right.
it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, my final question would be to, I mean, I like to ask people this a lot on the show. Given that we've talked about hard work, elbow grease, do everything to beat the competition. What would you actually say to someone who is entry level right
Yeah.
now in your field of journalism or broadcasting? What's your like number one tip that you would give that person, Or like if you can go back in time and tell yourself, hey,
Yeah.
go do X, Y, and Z, what would that thing be?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the most eloquent thing, but it would just be like, don't stop. Like, I think that a lot of people think you send a message on LinkedIn to someone and like that's done and like someone's going to write back to me and then I'm going to get that job. Like, no. Like, you have to be an absolute hound on every single level when it comes to not only outreach and just connecting to people, but also on yourself and like getting better. Like, whether it's, you know, voice work or appearance or your writing, like that's the thing I think a lot of people like in that are coming up in the field. So like, oh no, like I want to do TV or I want to do this. Yeah, well, like the basis is like knowing how to write. Like if you can't write a good story on paper, like you're
Yeah.
not going to tell a good story. So I think it's like
Right.
being really good at the fundamentals, and practicing them. Like there's no other way. Like some of the techniques that I used to do with like my like talent coach, like I would read stuff in the mirror like day in and day out, and I would do these like voice and breathing exercises, and plenty of people do this. It's not like it's just me, but I think it's don't stop working, don't stop reaching out. Um, and like when you there's gonna be a million barriers, you're gonna get a million no's, but then
Yeah.
it's like, so what's the next move? All like, and
Well,
something like,
look at like Rocky,
yeah,
Sylvester Stallone's story of how he got Rocky made. He had to sell his dog, I'm pretty sure, who he bought back
yeah,
after the film. Like that kind of effort is incredible. And you can't, here's the thing, what they don't tell you, you can't teach that. My
right,
dad taught me certain things about being a man, but in terms of that elbow grease, that go get 'em kind of energy, that can't be taught. You either have it, to me, you either have that or you don't. And the people that don't, a lot of times they're going to doubt you and say, "Oh, you can't do X, Y, and Z." But then you go out there and do it anyways, and you prove to them, "Hey, if you work really hard and you're really passionate about this one thing, you could actually make this thing happen." So, I mean, I've seen that in my own life as well, just getting to different levels of things where you feel, okay, I accomplished X and I feel good about it, and now, like you said, off to the next thing. Let me jump to the next career and position, industry, whatever it might be. And that kind of, that rests with me. That kind of, I can feel that.
and I feel like to your point, like actually, the new year and going into the new year is like the best time to be thinking and planning. Like I will always at the beginning of the year like get a whiteboard out and like list all the stuff I want to get done. Like it could be a range of like X new job or clean out my closet, but like I'm putting it down there. And by the end of the year, like these things are going to be done. And then I think it's on you to take the steps to get those things done. Like at different times that I've been hunting for jobs, it's that, okay, you got to send 10 emails a day, or you got to like LinkedIn 10 different people a day, and don't just link them in. You're sending a message, you're introducing yourself, and if you don't hear back from them, then like, what's next? What's next? What's next? Like always kind of thinking ahead. I remember just one last thing. I know we're wrapping up, but I remember like I told you guys about the FanDuel role, and I was so excited. Uh, fantasy football was booming. I was doing on camera stuff. And then the next day, we were kind of done after like 6 months. Now, don't get me wrong, like the news I'd been watching the news that there was all this happening in the courts about FanDuel, whether it was going to be ruled gambling or not. And I remember my boss, who I'm still really good friends with, he said to me after, like, well, you haven't been looking for a job? And I was like, no, like, I'm here. I like it here. I like working for you. And he's like, always be looking, always be
Yeah.
looking. And I
Yeah.
think like it's tough out there in a lot of industries. And so it's like, always know what's going on. Always like, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's job newsletters, whether it's just industry newsletters, like know who's going different places, know who's merging, like be a student of the game. And whether your game is broadcast or whether your game is journalism or whether your game is tech, like it's your job to be a student of it if you want to be a professor in it. It's like,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we're at the top of the hour. Before we get out of here, did you want to leave our audience with any closing thoughts, and where can they find you at?
No, this was awesome. You guys were awesome. Happy New Year. Feel free to reach out. Like I am an open book in terms of like helping people. So many people have helped me, and I feel like the more connections we can all make, the better. So you can find me on LinkedIn with my name, Marisa Marcellino. That's probably the best way. But otherwise, let's make it a great year. It's the year of the horse. Giddy up.
Absolutely. It was absolutely a pleasure having you on the show. We have to bring you back sometime.
Definitely, guys. I really appreciate it. And next time I'm going to flip the switch. We're going to interview you guys.
Okay.
All right.
We'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. We'll catch y'all next time.